Tekrar selamlar.
Hocam.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to share my screen again, and we will be talking about different examples of game design documents. Low-level game design documents, I should say. So, you may remember my Mutant Bugs game design documents. Now, this low-level design documents will be specializing on the combat system or match system of your my game idea. Again, I made some clarifications about who wrote the documents, and this is useful in companies as well. So developers may need to ask questions to the designer, and it's always useful to have your name written. Also, maybe version number could be here if you are using a Word document. Okay, I put my executive summary and exit strategy here as well. But actually, this is not particularly needed. Only this paragraph would be enough. But this is here so that it gives a brief, information about. Sorry, I just checked something. So it gives a brief info about the game, and this part gives brief information about this specific feature. So Mutant Bugs combat system is a turn-based system where a player draws a card from his deck, plays a card from his hand to the selected zone in the battlefield, and activates an ability in a turn. Battle results and damage is calculated after each of the 6 zones in the battlefield are occupied with a card. As long as both players survive, the battlefield is cleared and a new round begins. So this specifies different stages, and this paragraph specifies some UI elements as well. So now we know that 6 zones will be in our battlefield, and we know that a player should draw a card from his deck. So probably there will be a deck zone and a hand zone and a battlefield. This exit strategy can be nice in documents. If any threats appear that might delay the development, nice to have features written in blue, maybe left undone. And if there are still problems, you may consult to a different programmer, and you can choose pair programming, programming together. Pair programming means programming in pairs, By the way, I have seen developers that find those type of documents boring. They don't bother even reading these types of documents. So a designer should try their best to make easily readable, fun to read kind of documents. Fun to read differentiates from developer to developer. If your developer likes many pictures, you may resort to that. If your developer likes bullet points, you may resort to that. If your player just likes to read, you know, some plain text, you can resort to that. But whatever you do as a designer, you also need to keep your company's design document rules in mind as well. And as a developer, it's best to clear, um, you know, foggy points, the points that are not really clear, before you jump into the code. And it's always recommended to read this design documents several times before writing the actual code. Okay, this is why I put some reference picture, and I declared this picture as a source of inspiration. Attention developer, from this point onwards, some of the absolute must-dos in the project will be marked with red, while all nice-to-have features will be marked with blue color. Okay. General considerations. Since game will be targeting mobile markets, all sizes should be defined relative to the screen size of the personal device of the player. So these general requirements are requirements that cover more than one specific screen or one specific feature. For instance, this is a general requirement. This should be in every screen in my combat system. Photon multiplayer support should be used. At most, 3-second synchronization delay between players can be accepted. So this is a performance requirement. At most, we accept 3-second delay. This is, interfering with the developer a bit. So maybe this sentence could be avoided. Or if I know what I'm doing, and if really photon multiplayer should be used, then I need to clarify why that is the case. In our game, for instance, my development team decided to use photon multiplayer in our card game. And since this is a design decision, this is a development decision, technology decision, now this is a fact. Now photon multiplayer should be used. Now you can write that, but if you're writing that, you need to specify the reasons behind it. Dummy artwork for avatars, battlefields, cards, etc. will be provided. Real artwork will replace the dummy when the artwork is ready. Unity 3D and ASP.NET backend code will be used. So, I mean, this is again kind of interfering the developer's work, but I mean, this is kind of obvious as well. If there's an existing code base, you are going to use that. So, I mean, this sentence is kind of irrelevant. And it's not exactly forcing, but it's kind of irrelevant because the developer will use Unity 3D and ASP.NET backends anyways, since the code base is in ASP.NET, for instance. Matchmaking system is not expected. Each player's decks will consist 30 dummy cards each. Each cards will have a risk value of 10. Flying cards will be colored blue, tough skin cards will be colored green, and stingy cards will be colored yellow. Their color will be dynamically changed if their type changes. cards skills are not expected to be developed. A dummy skill named random mutation will be coded, and each card will have this skill. This skill turns the card into a random bug type. So um, upon activation, upon activating random mutation, your card will change color from its first color to another color, either blue, green, or yellow. I realized that I didn't specify one requirement. I mean, if I was a developer for this task, I would ask, can the bug change uh, to its first color upon mutating, you know? So can a blue card become blue again? I would ask that as a developer. Destroyed cards are not recorded in any way since we don't plan to add graveyard interactions. Okay. Players start with 50 life. And I jump right to my UI design. Battlefield mockup will be similar to Earth Core Shattered Elements game. Relative sizes can be copied accordingly. So, like as you see, there's I mean, currently I don't have a clear um, wireframe design. I am expecting you a wireframe design, but in this case, I just referenced another game's UI design, and I clarified some uh, points from its design. So, for instance, opponent's deck is represented here, and the card number in his deck is here. So there are 14 cards in his deck, and there are 16 cards in my deck. There's a timer countdown here. When this reaches 0, the turn immediately ends and turn is switched to the opposing player. Opponent's life is here. Your life is here. This zone represents your hand. It can take at most 4 cards. And this is the battlefield. And there are 6 slots in the battlefield. And these 3 zones are occupied by your enemy, and these 3 zones are occupied by your cards. And there are some other details such as total risk of slots, etc. But for sake of this lecture, let's not go into details. I need it's best if I have a flow of actions. Okay, for flow of actions, I mean, is there a yeah, I haven't added a flow of actions here, but maybe I can find a good example. So for instance, core loop is here for our game. For prototype phase. So this kind of loop clarifies most of the points. At the start of game, this is the combat system for another card game, which we are developing in Mainnet. But if I added something like this in my design document, it could be great. And keep in mind that this flow chart is really useful for communicating the details. So at the start of game, you roll dice for first round. In your turn, you see your cards and you roll your dice. I mean, rolling dice is done automatically in our game currently. You either put dice on cards. When there are enough dice on a card, your card activates, effect applies, and card disappears if the card is not reusable for this turn. Uh, in our game, some cards can be activated only once in a turn, and some cards can be activated more than one times in a turn. This is one flow. You can also, if your mana bar is full, you can activate special skill. This is like um, special skills in Hearthstone, for instance. In Hearthstone, the mage deals 1 damage as a special skill. Cleric heals 2 damage, etc. There's a special skill feature, and this these moves can be done multiple times if mana bar is full. Of course, since mana bar gets empty after you use your skill, you will only be using this special skill once, but you may put different dices on cards, and you may activate different cards. After that, you tap end turn button, or if turn timer is 0, immediately you end your turn, and now enemy turn starts. Enemy sees enemy cards, and they see enemy dice. By the way, you also see enemy cards. You watch enemy's board, by the way. So you watch enemy put dice on cards, and you watch enemy activate their special skills. He can activate multiple cards in his turn, and after that, enemy taps end turn, or if the turn timer is up, enemy turn is ended, and now it's back to your turn again until game has ended. If that's the case, there should be another zone. If one of the players' life reaches 0, then the winner will be declared, and the um, players will return back to the home screen. So in my game, there's not a flow like that, but I talked about phases, and I labeled phases as A, B, C, and in this within a turn, what you can do is written here, and I gave details about that as well. So I mean, from high level, I gave a high level view on the structure of a round, and I said that each round has 6 turns, and now I talk about the structure of a turn. So a turn starts with drawing card to hand. There are 6 turns of gameplay, and after each turn, there will be a damage calculation phase, and after the first round, first to go player is changing. I mean, the details are written everywhere, but maybe we can focus these parts for sake of this lecture, and we can jump to another example. A match can have several rounds until a player's life drops to 0 or decks run out of cards. Each round starts with empty battlefield and empty hands for each player. Each player draws 4 cards from their deck at the same time. Player players take turns, starting with the first to go player. Since players have to put a card onto the battlefield each turn, after 6 turns, battlefield will be filled. After 6 turns, damage is calculated and inflicted to each player. If a player drops down to 0 life, they lose. If both players survive, all the remaining cards in both players' hands are destroyed, and a new round starts. The first to go player of the previous round is now the other player. Each round has 6 turns. I stated this more than one time. First to go player is written like a variable. Um, this is consistent throughout the documents, like this. I wrote without uh, any blanks. So drawing cards to hand. Drawing cards is done at the start of each round. Since remaining cards in hands are destroyed at the end of all rounds, both players should have 0 cards in their hands. Drawing cards is only done at the start of the round. Drawing a hand is done automatically, and while drawing, all user input will be disabled. So this is to avoid some bugs, before they appear. To draw a hand of 4 cards at the top of the deck will be selected. So I said that deck will be held inside an array. I uh, talked about some terms in development side, and I said that the beginning of the array will be given to the player. Those cards will be removed from the deck and added to the hand area of the player. Players can only draw from their decks. The number resembling the deck count will decrease one by one as cards are drawn. The number will float on the deck icon. An animation of drawing can be added. So this is a nice to have feature since it's blue. So are there any questions in your head currently? I'm trying to include some UI reference. It's better to give a flow. I don't have it, unfortunately. And what else do I have? So I'm talking about functionality, user interface. I'm not talking about milestones because this should be done with the team. I'm talking about my goals, goals of this feature at least. And yeah, I should, if I have different versions of this document, I should name these version numbers. This is one thing I'm missing, but yeah, this is one example. And as another example, I'm going to show a low-level design documents written by one of my friends. So this is Mass Effect 2 dialogue system, written by Ziya Volkan Hacıtayıroğulları. So I should be giving some credits to him. And let's talk, there are not many pictures here, so actually I'm going to just resort to Google and see some references. So this is an example dialog screen. As you see, there's a chat wheel, and there are 6. Actually, currently there are 5, but there are up to 6 choices that you can choose. There, so in at the top of this chat wheel, the other people's sentences are shown. So ERCS guard says the administrator's orders, Lori Queen is under investigation, and you can choose one of those answers. And upon choosing your answer, this lady will answer back, and the dialogue system works like that, basically. And my friends basically gave details of this system. Dialog wheel is an on-screen overlay. This on-screen overlay is another technological term which is used pretty often. So overlay basically means that this wheel will stay on top of everything, will be rendered on top of everything in your screen. Presenting different dialogue options, the player is able to choose in particular conversations. This widget elements or overlay will be anchored to bottom center of the screen. This wheel will include 6 buttons, 3 on one side and 3 on the other side. When the wheel is active, the game background still the game backgrounds will still keep playing. However, no combat encounter will be available until after the conversation ends. So this is again to avoid some possible bugs. Mouse pointer will not be present in the screen when dialog wheel is active. Okay, so this is for better user experience. These buttons will be organized as stated below. So in top left, you have a choice of friendly interaction. In middle left, you can ask a question. If you choose bottom left, you can make an hostile interaction. If you choose top right, this is the paragon choice. If you choose middle right, there's a neutral choice, and if you choose bottom right, you can choose renegade choice. Dialogue wheel design. So now he's talking about some UI as well. And the dialogue wheel will be anchored to the bottom center of the screen. It will have a ring shape divided into 6 equal sized buttons. These buttons will be positioned as 3 on right and 3 on left. When hovered, they will be scaled up by 1.15 times and highlighted. So this is great detail, by the way. The wheel will be colored orange with black highlighted outlines. There will be lines coming out of each option that is available. So if you look back, this player highlighted this choice. You are here illegally. And sorry, I'm not sure actually. Let me just check. These buttons will be when hovered, they will be scaled up and they will be highlighted. So yeah, I guess the highlighted choice is highlighted with blue color. I'm not sure about that though. Maybe if I was the developer, I would ask this. And I'm not sure if this choice is scaled up. It doesn't look like that, unfortunately. So I would ask the designer about that. Friendly interact and hostile interact option text will be highlighted with blue and red outlines respectively. Oh, okay. So it gives some info about that. The rest of the conversation options will be white with no extra outlines. When a non-player character is focused by the camera on a conversation, the dialogue wheel will be hidden until one-third of the dialogue is left. The wheel then will be shown before the NPC dialogue is finished. Clicking an option while an NPC dialogue is playing will interrupt this speech and start the triggered dialogue. Subtitles of a conversation will include the conversation that is heard, not the visual expression of the actors. Okay. Um, so there are other details as well. Uh, for instance, details about neutral choice, renegade choice are given here. Um, I mean, I'm not going to go into depths of everything here, but for instance, pressing spacebar button will interrupt current conversation elements. Male and female player character conversations must share the same ID to reach them um, dynamically and to be able to change them with ease later on, and stuff like that are specified. I gave this I mean, I sent this document as well to your WhatsApp group, and you can check this too. Um, okay. Any questions about this document, by the way? Mm, I mean, again, this document covers UI and functions as well. So it tries to leave no questions unanswered. Of course, there's no perfect design document, but I mean, still, this is a good enough reference for you. And also, I found um, an actual design document, H2. Mm, so this is not this is not basically talking about just one feature, but this document talks about different features. So I sent this as an example as well, but some actually this is, I guess, documents between a high-level design documents and a low-level design documents. So it gives some low-level info. The minimap is part of the general static UI located at the bottom right portion of the interface. This diamond-shaped display will show the playing area to scale using blocks of the appropriate player's color superimposed over a scale map of the terrain to show the location of his building and units. So this paragraph talks about minimap, for instance. So there are some low-level elements, but this is too. I mean, this is a document that covers different features. I just want to you to cover one feature. That's one feature should be developed by a single developer within 1 to 2 weeks. Just keep that in mind. But still, this is a nice reference that I sent you. You can check this out. Let me check if I sent you. Nope, I have not. I will be sending you this. Okay. If you don't have anything else, if you don't have any other questions, we can close up. Meanwhile, I will be sending this. Okay. site downloads, I guess. Okay, here. So that's all for today. Thanks for participating and see you tomorrow.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you. See you.